Dree, one take. Dree Vinci. Isaac Lawrence. ABOV, one take, watch. I swear I'm gonna do it one take.
Aye, get a deposit, but like the Rockets, selling your soul, moving the keys like it's a locket,
What is up, man? We were off for a week. We had just kind of a busy schedule, so we just posted our last episode, and kind of won't give away the nuts and bolts of that. But black and white was our last topic, and just talking about prejudice, kind of things in our life that we still deal with. Both Cedric and I, and just kind of share our thoughts around that. But today, man, I'm just feeling energized, excited. Just loving to be here in the cave every time we're here, but just even feel a higher energy today. Just, I don't know what it is, just kind of checked in with just that, just kind of buzzing from just the feelings of what we do as men, here on this channel. Just excited, just how excited I get when we just express ourselves to each other, knowing that there's others listening out there. And what Cedric brought up tonight as a topic, and then I'll introduce him to kind of check in, but testing our limits. So that was from Ced. Ced just kind of came into his mindset. And when you think about that, oftentimes we look at how do we, setting the bar, right? Setting the bar in our life. What do we do to really push ourselves above and beyond where we ever think we possibly can be in our lives? So we do that all the time, me and Ced here on the channel. So I'd loving to introduce my partner in crime, my man on the opposite side of the screen is me. And to check in and just kind of see how things are going with my buddy.
What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Man Kave Experience. Man, it feel good, man. Be back. Yeah, we took a little bit off. It was just kind of hectic, but we're back. Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys joining us. Weird thing, man, because I host this group every month, every 21 days. Myself and 3 other coaches, we host this group, and one of the topics in today was test your limits. And I was like, man, that'll be a pretty cool topic, because I want to do something, talk about it a little bit. And I kind of give an exclusive to like probably my day 45 video, test drive your life. Because what that whole post is about is the exercise portion of it. If you're trying to see some type of growth, you have to test your limits. Push yourself when you're in the gym. Push yourself when you're thinking about eating bad. All of this crazy stuff. And so now I want to just do like a little mini talk tomorrow. Saying test drive your life, because when we look at our whole life, we could put that into, we can fit that mold into our life. Because I know for me, man, it's and still is, a lot of fear. Okay, like reaching out to a radio station when we're doing our YouTube thing, and I'm seeing how many subscribers they have, and it's like, oh my God, okay, but this would just be something bigger for us. And create a larger space. But there's fears around that, and it's, and all types of stuff, man. But it just got me to thinking, like, when you test drive a car, right? I know the way my mom taught me how to test drive a car was when you get in it, you test everything in that bad boy, right? Don't just put the AC on one. You put it all the way up, see what it could do. Check every bell and whistle. When you pull off, like, just don't pitter patter, because you might have to get on the gas every now and then. You might have to get on the highway. Like, test this car, right? And so it wasn't just some lollygag and nah, it was, let's test the limits of this car for this for a short period of time to figure out, the top-notch performance. And then you can just adjust from there. Like, okay, well, this is the car I want, or no, I use too much gas, whatever the case may be. And you just adjust. So I was like, man, that'll be a pretty cool topic to kind of talk about. And I don't know if that was a little wordy or not, but that's where it came from, y'all.
Oh, no, I love that, because I think as you were saying that, I'm like thinking, when we set limits on ourselves, right? Because we can you kind of keep ourselves at a certain level and not exceeding it, because we might limit ourselves versus looking at how can we increase our limitations? How can we get to here and making that our baseline? So it's that constant push in our lives, right? We can't, a car, sometimes you're driving it and you think it's got all these these amazing things. And then it does something that you didn't even expect, turns a corner and just keeps traction and, things like that, is above and beyond what you thought, the limits were for that car. Same with us, right? As human beings, we sometimes limit ourselves on how far we can push ourselves because we're either unwilling to put the bar higher, or we have that belief based on somebody else telling us that you're never going to make it. Why are you doing this podcast? Why are you doing this this continued week after week after week of putting yourselves out there, and what are you really getting out of it other than a discussion with two men, right? But like you were saying, Sed, we're setting our limits high. We're not looking at this space being something that's isn't potentially going to be, global someday. It's not going to be something that's there's no reason why we shouldn't or can't put our limit high enough to where it's achievable. And so I think establishing limits, exceeding those limits, knowing when we can, kind of push the bar to create higher limits for ourselves is important in life, because we can become complacent and think that we're only able to do so much,
Right.
Like me. I think for, as hard as I push, pretty much on a daily basis to, grow my business, to be a better father, to be a better husband, to, be more connected to myself, to be more, kind of outward as far as my expression and share myself with others. It's constant. And if I looked at myself as in limiting myself and having a lower standard, it'd be very easy for me just to, assume that all those efforts are for naught, and just to kind of go back to, Smallville, and to just kind of exist and just live a very safe life. But, us as human beings, we have that potential and hopefully desire to push through that, push higher, achieve more, to understand that you can set limits that are far exceeding what you ever thought or anybody else ever thought for you. And you're a great example, Sed, and you can share a little bit about this. Just, you got an upcoming interview with HCI about, how you're others that are looking to do this similar program. So you never thought that was within your limits. You thought that was something that others, because of their status and professional growth and all these things, it was only to those people that might be available. And here you are in a position where they're coming to you to ask you to be, somebody that people are going to listen to and learn from, and you're going to inspire these people to potentially step into something that you felt limited before about. How awesome is that?
Yeah, man, that's real awesome. But I got to be honest, y'all, and transparent. Just hearing it now, because that's the first time I've heard anybody put it there. Ooh.
Get out of here. Come on, stand up.
A little part of me was just like, holy shit, okay.
Right?
But that's the good thing, though. And it goes right into it, because it was like nobody's forcing me to do it, and when they came to me, I did have an opportunity to say either yes or no. And that's kind of what it was. It's like, okay, test the limit. Hell yeah, it's scary. You're going to have people from all over the fucking world, tuning in to you, watching your mug, like listening to you, all your imperfections showing up, like, all of this stuff. But yet, I said yes. Then, it's a ripple effect, though, because what if I never would have enrolled in HCI? Mm-hmm. I'm like, as I'm talking and I'm kind of thinking about it, something like I know I have to be really, really careful of, because I'm kind of coming out of that slump now, is that plateau limit, and it's almost that subconscious limit where you don't even see it and you just kind of settle down and everything. Not that everything is bad, but everything is just going kind of good. Nothing drastically bad. Life is happening. But again, that's something to me. Like, this is really for me. Like, all right, test drive your life, man. Okay, well, yeah, you here. Okay, you here now. Test it. See how far you can go. It's just like lifting weights. You might plateau and may not lose, or if you're trying to gain, you may not gain. But if you just change it up a little bit and just push it a little bit harder, then you start to see a little bit of extra gain. And that's kind of where it is, man. Yeah, just looking back, like all of these little different things, like I probably didn't know I was pushing the limit or testing myself at the time or walking through. But looking back, reflecting, it's like, hell yeah. That's something everybody can do,
And I was just thinking as you were saying that this kind of goes hand in hand with being more curious, about things that we may want to bring into our life. I mean, when we look at, limiting ourselves or potential limits that we set upon ourselves, curiousness plays a huge role. And when before we take an action, to just wonder, right? What's possible for me? Why is what I feel is impossible possible for anybody else? What do they have that I don't have? What do I have that they don't have? I mean, I think when you kind of rephrase the, kind of the message that you're, telling yourself, either from, somebody else has told you or just your default, button that you push to get that answer that you typically get. What if and you've done this before here on our, in our talks here, just reframing that to where, it creates a different question. It's not you question yourself. It's like, well, what if it was opposite of that? What if my limits are too low? What if, I'm limiting myself because of, my own beliefs versus others setting their limits for me higher than I'm willing to set myself. And that happens, right? I mean, people we talk to and we sometimes question, do we have it? Do we not have it? Do we, are we going to make it be successful? Are we going to be able to achieve these dreams? And oftentimes we've got people that are in our front row that aren't just cheerleaders. They genuinely believe in us sometimes more than we do ourselves. And that's pretty awesome to be able to realize those people that are in our lives, to really acknowledge and appreciate what they do for us. And I spoke about this the other day in my workshop, and you've heard this before said, who is in your front row? Who are the ones that are, that are pushing the limits with you, that are right alongside of you, trying to coach you and support you and stretch you, or be there when, maybe you fall short.
Right.
Who are those people? Are they the ones that are, really prominent? Are they the ones that are sitting in the back row, but they should be up front? It's really a time when you're, being curious, when you're looking at who your supporters are. Are you in that front row, right? Are you on your own front row?
Right.
Because you can look out in the audience and see all these amazing people that are supporting you and pushing you to the highest limits. But if they just were all gone, would you be willing to be that person kind of experiencing you in that audience?
Being your own cheerleader.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of that. That's where it starts, right? If we only allow others to create this person that we are, and we're not tapping into that, and if that was to be peeled away, and we were naked to the earth and had to really understand how we feel about ourselves or what we're willing to do for ourselves, that's the core of it, right? I mean, when we look at the limit, limiting ourselves or setting our limits, are we in control of that? Are we letting others control that? Or are we in harmony with others to have that support system and confidence and demeanor about ourselves to kind of create that oneness, with others that are sharing that vision with us?
Yeah, because I was going to say that's a real important piece is to understand, understand who's setting the limit. Because it's different if it's other people, and again, that's who's in your front row, and if it's you. Because one takes a different type of work than it does the other. Because one is just a matter of doing the mental work to say, okay, screw what you think. and keep going, which is easier said than done. And the other one, when it's you, man, because we're some real convincing people when we talking to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? I can't convince you better than you can not to do anything, because you know just how to word it to fit you.
But if I don't want to be accountable for it, then I'm just going to defer it to you so that I don't have to deal with it, right? If I play small and just value what you say and just kind of push aside my own thoughts about myself, then I never have to hold myself accountable.
Right. Oh, because you did that. You did X. Right. Oh man, it's crazy.
Right.
Personal.
So as I was sitting here thinking about this whole topic, I was wondering, are there areas in your life, as we speak now, where you have set a certain limit, and then when you started working towards that, you felt like you were playing, maybe not as boldly as you might be willing to play, as you move forward, whether it's your coaching career or as a father or as a mentor, because that's an area you're moving into now in your life, being a mentor. Yeah. It's amazing. Young boys, or children. How is that going to play out with you, and as far as you setting limits for yourself, for others, kind of this whole transition of where you're going?
On the mentoring side, like I haven't seen any cons of that as of yet, or any cons haven't, crept in, which kind of ties into fatherhood. And there are times when I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I could have spent a little bit more time with him versus, handing him off to his mama or something like that. But overall, I feel good, and personally pretty good. A lot of it for me right now is professionally, because I'm getting ready to, well, I wouldn't even say ready to, like I'm in that arena now where I feel like I know everything that I need to know to go to the next step. And it's just a matter of completing the next task, and getting out of the compare and despair, honestly, because that's causing a lot of fears, judgments, blase. But it's helping me see, because here's the goal, and okay, well, this is where I'm falling short, so now I need to push it a little bit. And so that's kind of where that is right now.
Well, tell me about that goal. What is that place that you've set in your life, and maybe it's your coaching, right? That that the bar sounds like it's pretty high. What is that? Is that
it's high for me. It may not be or seem high for the next man, but for me, it's like, okay, now I'm looking at it.
Tell me what is it though?
For me, I want to be doing 10K a month. Like I know I'm capable.
I'm talking about.
Like I know I'm capable of doing 10K a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm working on with my coach now. Like just working through how to make that happen. Which I don't know. For me, it's fear of, and it sounds crazy as hell, but it's fear of success.
Mm-hmm.
Because many times, like when I reach that pinnacle, it seems like in order for me to get there, I had to isolate myself from everybody and just sacrifice everybody in order to obtain that. So a portion of the fear is me telling myself, okay, that's that same loop that I had to go through, and allow myself not to go forward, like, oh, well, you have time here, you're not doing anything. Oh, well, no, you want to just spend some time with your son right now because you can get to that later type of deal, because you don't want to lose this time with them because you've already had to sacrifice time before and look where you ended up, blase. So, yeah, it's just a navigation through that minefield right now. But I know I'm capable of fucking 10K. I know I am consistently. I know I am.
See, I've never heard you say that. That's awesome. Because I think I was going to ask you, if you look at that number as being, a limit, a dream, a fantasy, an obstacle, all these things that it could represent, right? But what I clearly heard you say was not that. So I heard you say that, and you just said it again. I know, right? And I think that's very powerful, because I think I was, speaking with one of my clients about his outward dialogue was a lot of I think, and I couldn't, and I think there's time. I know there's times where we use certain words just as a default, and we don't think about what the meaning is behind it. So when you say I know, it's very believable. When you say I think, then it's just a lot of uncertainty, maybe some reservations, maybe some fear, all those things. But when you say I know, there's still some of that fear there, but it's a direct line, right? It's action, result, and kind of moving forward in that direction. I love that. I mean, I love hearing you say something that's very definitive, and it's not just it's not a limit. To me, what you said, it's not really a limit. It's just more an expectation. It's more, I expect this from myself because of the value you have, the commitment that you're making, all these variables that you're putting into place to create what we've all learned as, inevitable success, right? The keys to inevitable success. Love that.
I appreciate it, man. So on the flip side, man, like how are some ways you pushing your limits or testing them out?
Man, I just think so. There's been half a dozen companies that I've reached out to, and I've been very tactful in continuing. So today I sent out some follow-up emails to people that I've not heard back from, and I've not heard a no from them. What I haven't heard is anything back at all. So I'm pushing my own limits of how I feel others are holding that space for themselves to at some point step forward. So I'm testing my trust. I'm testing my trust in myself to continue to put things out there to, and said, enough about me. I mean, I could spend, 5 solid minutes of just all the things that I've done, from my Instagram post to my Facebook post to, my calls to people to, doing some health fair, to all these things that I've done. And the percentage of success out of that, it's pretty small, but I'm okay with that, because the successes that have come have been the movement that I've needed to kind of grow at a much more organic kind of progress in my life, to where I don't leave behind myself, I don't leave behind my family, I don't leave behind who I am as an individual. So by setting my limits high, I could easily be distracted from the important things to me. And enough about me to know that at this point in my life, being in full alignment with my family is the most important thing to me. So it pushes the limits on all these different boundaries. I push my limits to be, to still work hard at a job that I've been at for 34 plus years, and still try to, keep a solid, attitude, and know what I'm there for, and to appreciate, the job that they provided me, and all these things that I could, kind of let go of that willingness to test my own spirit and persona, to just kind of, back off and just kind of, not really invest in myself or invest in the community as I have for all these years. So I feel like I'm always testing myself, and then, at times failing, definitely. I mean, just having those setbacks to where, I didn't take all the steps that I needed to, but recognizing that, I think that's been more my journey is more and more awareness around that. So although sometimes I'm testing and succeeding, still testing a lot and not succeeding, but I don't look at that as failure. I just look at that as I'm just going to keep serving. Just keep serving the world, keep serving you, keep serving my wife, keep serving my friends, keep serving anybody out there that I can give to. And that tests me on a regular basis, because I think, we seem to think that we're only capable of so much. And I've proven so much more to myself at this age of my life to not kind of push the default button and just kind of sail off in the sunset and look at myself as a retired employee and just kind of exist for the next 30, 40 years as just kind of a retired father and husband.
Cool.
Now I'm getting wordy.
Nah, but I'm like, wow, that's what it is, man. That's what it's about. That's why we do it.
Even when you think about, limits that are on the, that we see on the highway, right? Where it's 65 miles an hour or 55 miles an hour. We know that's the speed limit, yet we sometimes push that envelope because we're either in a hurry or we just like to drive fast, or, we think we're the king of the road and it's our highway so we can go as fast as we want, knowing that, right, we could get pulled over by a police officer because we're exceeding that limit. There's all those different things that when we talk about limit that can be good or bad, right? We can set high limitations or limits for ourselves. We can limit ourselves and our beliefs. And I think sometimes we get trapped in as I mentioned earlier, just in the meanings of different words and how we use them to sometimes confuse us to really, kind of understand where to use those in a way that's going to be the most effective for us.
You was kind of breaking up a little bit there, and then I got him crying a little bit in the back. Son in the man cave on the other side. Oh man.
So what limits though, as far as being a father? I mean, have you had to set certain limits, good and bad, or challenging or not challenging in your life as a father to ensure that you continue your evolution as being the best possible father that you can be?
Yeah, my limits got tested last night. Oh man.
Do tell.
It was just one of those, man, just pretty much all day. All day just crying. Just not really quiet, but just
you are Messiah.
Kind of whiny. Not enough to where it's like, oh my God, just stop, but more than usual. So it's just like, okay, all right. I don't necessarily know. You're fed, you're clean. One of those days, like, I just don't know what to do. And he'll stop and start back. Long story short, man, he goes down, he sleep, and I'm thinking he's done. I'm like, okay, well, cool. He'll probably wake up 6, 7 o'clock at night, right? I mean, in the morning. Cool. No, he wakes up about 11 p.m. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Like, you're supposed to be asleep, dude. Okay, check him out. Change the diaper. Okay, let's get you fed. And he was tired. I knew he was tired. He was yawning, roll the eyes, try and lay him down. He starts to go to sleep. And so I try and take him over to his little bed, not having it. Because every time I take him to the bed or just lay him in the bed and put him to sleep there, he's not having it. He's up laughing. I'm like, dude, it's not time to play. So we played this game, swing, hold, bounce, walk around. Man, we doing a merry-go-round all the way until 3:30 this morning. Yeah, so it was like, oh my God. This is how people could this is birth control. I can't do this again. Oh my God.
You're past the testing the road test right now. You're in it. You bought the car and it's yours for life.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's no return. It's receipt or not. You cannot return the vendor.
But again, that's kind of another, kind of way that we were tested, right? Because we have, we know that's going to happen as our children become more and more, aware of their environment, aware of if they do this is the reaction that I'll get, and they'll start testing. So we set limits, for what we're willing to endure, right, in our head or in our heart or in our mind. What is our limitation that we can actually feel like we physically can handle? And with a child, I mean, that's just continually tested, right? It's like boom, 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 boom. And that's so how we're reacting to that testing from, our children, obviously is creating not only, either resistance or acceptance or challenges in our life, but that's also kind of setting the table for them.
Yeah.
It's like, they don't, they could, they're learning early on how they are able to test certain situations and get reactions, or test, situations and manipulate what the reactions might be. And then, we have to kind of figure all that out. Right. And that obviously carries into adulthood, and we deal with people that, try to manipulate us and try to create, these obstacles for us to feel like we have to have, clear boundaries versus having some limitations. But wow. I mean, when you brought this up, I didn't think about, I thought it was limiting. Like a limited conversation about, something that is, setting limits. And I think that's, it's a great discussion around, it's like we talked before about just creating space, right? Space within our life, and how our ability to create even grander limits that we can potentially reach is based upon us creating that small little spaces in our life for growth, right? For, awareness, for understanding, for compassion, for all these things that allow us to take that next step with confidence and stretch ourselves, or to, reach our dreams, or to challenge ourselves, or to set higher limits for ourselves. It doesn't just happen, right? We can, you didn't just gain this confidence overnight. I mean, you've had, a story to tell that you've been through in your life that it still challenges you at times to kind of reflect back upon where you were and where you are now. You still have people in your life that remind you of that, and are still, some of those still in that similar situation that you once were. But you've tested your boundaries, right? You've tested your limits. You've tested yourself. You've tested others. You do that on your, when you're doing your posts, where you're testing others to, and challenging them to raise that bar for themselves. And that's what it takes, right? Because it's not just about us raising our own bar. People could watch us and be inspired by us, but it's also, them taking the lead in learning, but then doing it themselves, not having to depend upon Cedric to, carry that torch for them, but they take the torch from you, and then they set their sights on something that's going to be amazing in their life.
Yeah. Can you hear him?
Mosiah, yeah, he's going off, man.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm like, golly, what's going on? But yeah, man. But I could definitely see how you could have took it as that, though. Because I probably would have too if I just would have heard him and like, oh, okay, yeah, test the limit school.
But you look at professional athletes, right? And you watch and see and learn about their struggles to be successful. I mean, we see them when they are successful, but you've mentioned this before about all the shots that Michael Jordan takes to get that high percentage of shots going in. I mean, he's taking 1,000 shots or some crazy amount of shots every night to replicate that perfect spin of the hand, and to so we see the results of that, but he has set his sights so high as far as success, that it seems to be unachievable, but behind it is a whole hell of a lot of work, commitment, struggles, failure, all these things that build character and really give you that end of the journey. It's like, wow, I didn't just get here. I didn't just, get to this position because I turned the channel and now I'm there. It's like, I've had to bust my ass. I've had to cry. I've had to be challenged. I've had to be kicked in the face. All these things that at different levels we're experiencing today as men, as human beings. And yet we still should, at least in my opinion, still continue to set that standard. Be willing to not be complacent, to set our sights high on life for us, for others, for our family, for the human race.
Yeah. Continue growth, man. Continue
right?
growing.
I mean, how much suffering is going on out there as we, sit here and speak about our lives and our challenges, and in comparison to, third world countries where, this has no place in their life at all. They're just trying to find food. They're just trying to get shelter. They're just trying to recover from a freaking hurricane that come in and took their house out. So you, the listeners, in situations where you have the possibility of stepping forward, testing yourself, testing, life, all these things that allow you to grow, grow yourself, grow your connection with others, grow your experiences in the world, create more connectiveness with others, come from a place of love. You have that ability. Our challenges, although they may feel like they're quite large in comparison, most of us at least, have a lot to stand on and have a lot of opportunities that are ahead of us. So when we have these whole discussions about, these great things we want to do in our life, we have to be mindful of what we already have and really have some, gratitude towards, just the basic things in life: a place to live, shelter, food, family, friends, weather, things like that we sometimes just take for granted. I mean, you've dealt with more weather than I ever had with your crazy hurricane you went through. That's a whole other podcast or an episode that we should explore at some point.
I know, right?
But yeah, just interested to see kind of you, Cedric, when you brought this topic up. Have you had any major ahas during this half hour or so that kind of made you kind of think a little bit more about what type of limits or how maybe you can test yourself a little harder?
My ahas is just, I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about little areas where I could push a little harder, because I'm starting to find myself slacking off a little bit. And when I say slacking off, it comes across, for me, it's that little story of, oh yeah, man, you've been working, you can take a little time off, or it's just 15 minutes here, it's just 30 minutes there, it's self-care. Like, look at it as that. So it's,
well, don't give up on that. We've had a whole episode on self-care, so that's not gonna go back and delete that. So
it's just testing my check yourself meter, really, and just getting back to the nitty gritty with myself. Like, all right, cool, let's get back to the basics. Okay, you got somewhere, you got some traction, cool. Let's get back to the basics and see what we need to do. And when I had been away from, I wouldn't say been away, but had evolved a little bit more. So now it's going to take a little bit of work to get back over here, get in alignment, but it's constantly, like that helix almost going around and up and everywhere. But yeah, that's my biggest aha is, but also, because I like when you said about the speed limit, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can test it, but do it at a healthy pace. Don't try and push too hard, because you can hurt yourself possibly. But just go, if it's 60, you can go 65 or whatever the case. Don't go too crazy.
Right.
You might get in a little trouble, but just keep it legal, I guess.
And limits are important, right? Whether it's speed limit or drinking limits, or those are all meant to protect us, from ourselves, from others. So limits are important. I think the one thing that keeps kind of coming back into my mind, because I've dealt with it in my own past and still sometimes deal with it, is just limiting beliefs, and just those kind of messages of, no, you can't do that. It's not like the opposite of that, where you're setting this higher standards. There's times where I struggle with, well, no, you can't do that. Why would they want to hire you? What makes you think that you can step into that and lead this group of people and do a workshop and give people the information they're looking for, so they can walk out of a room and feel like they're a better person, or have a couple more tools in their tool belt to tackle life. So that's part of my work, right? It's part of my work is to kind of hear those messages where it's set the bar high, set high limits. I'm doing that, and then kind of that opposite of limiting myself. Limiting the things that I sometimes feel like I can do. So it's it's that ebb and flow of understanding where that energy is flowing, because you and I have spoke also about energy is not born and doesn't die. So if you don't feel like your positive growth or your positive energy is leading you, then all your energy is located in a spot in your body or in your life that's just sucking the life out of you. So how do you move that into the right direction? But it starts with acknowledgement, right? It starts with our willingness to get in our shit sometimes, or others, like we try to do with each other times, and just call each other out. It's like, no, you're saying this and you're doing that. So you're saying you're setting the bar high, yet you're doing just enough to kind of undermine yourself so you don't get here, right? So that could be self-sabotage, where we do it to ourselves. And hopefully, we recognize that. But if not, that's, I think, one thing that we've tried to create in our friendship is calling bullshit when bullshit needs to be called.
Yeah.
Man.
Man.
I love it. Well, I think for you, the listeners, this is just another, I guess for us, we always look at how we broaden spaces in people's lives, for us, for you. And this conversation obviously is just our points of view, our opinions, our experiences. So it creates space for us to actually, as men, be able to express ourselves and not feel judged, to not feel fearful, to not feel anything more other than just authentic, feeling, real men. And that's what our hope has always been for you, the listener, is these topics that we put out there, or these conversations that we have. It's the intent of it isn't to tell you how to live your life, or that you need to follow what Ron or Cedric does to create, this amazing life. It's just to give you a different perspective. It's just to give you an insight on two men from two different walks of life, just being able to communicate in a way where we create interest, we create spontaneity, we create uncertainty, all these things that, sometimes can be very scary. And as men, we typically want to talk about, hey, New Orleans, man, they kicked ass this weekend. Right on, man. Let's just talk about sports and everything outside of us, all these amazing things that are, kind of in our life. But this is where I think our opportunities are as men. This is where we feel like our opportunities are here with this channel. So this is, again, we've said this before, we're going to continue to say it. This channel will remain in existence for as long as we possibly can. Things change, obviously, but meaning, something that would drastically have to happen for this not to continue forward. So I'm going to say my goodbyes. I'm not going to get philosophical and get on my soft side. I'm just going to leave this with you, the listeners, of have an amazing rest of your afternoon, evening, if you're listening to this. and to appreciate Cedric for everything you brought to my life and will continue to bring to my life, and to turn it over to you to say your goodbyes.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you guys again joining us each week. And like Ron said, we're not trying to say that everything that we're sharing is end all be all. No, it's just another way to look at things. That's really all it is. And a space to come for men, women alike to just get more rounded. It's a tool, just a different look, a different tool. And I appreciate you guys. I'm starting to talk in circles because I'm just.
We've got a couple special guests coming up. I haven't shared with you yet, so that's.
Cool! See, I'm excited, man. New stuff.
Next 3 or 4 weeks, we've got some women coaches coming in, so looking forward to that.
Oh, yay! That'll be fun. Cool. So y'all look out for that, man. My goodbye. I love y'all. Namaste.
Over now.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
You cannot stop it. Watching me glow, still on the shoulder, flow like a faucet. Get a deposit. Ball like the Rockets. Selling your soul, moving the keys like it's a locket.